Question of the day. When is a time when Tom Vassell has steered you correctly? Because I can think of three exactly. Now, they're non-gaming related because, of course, he steers us right all the time gaming. Well, one of them is gaming related. The other two are just fandom related. Number one, that would be Cosmic Encounter. Tom was right about it. It's fantastic. Love the game Cosmic Encounter. Number two is Elden Ring. Phenomenal game. Oh my gosh, he and I have talked about one of the frustrations and beautiful things about playing that game. And number three is his love for Brandon Sanderson's works of the Cosmere. Now, if you ask me, I like the Stormlight Archive better, but Mistborn is really good. Mistborn is like Charles Dickens' fantasy, right? It's a tale of two cities kind of meets fantasy, high fantasy, with magic systems that have to make sense in their own system. Mistborn is such an exciting world, right? It's smaller, right? It's not as big in scope, it feels currently where I'm at, than the Stormlight Archive, right? Which is massive, and there's characters that are all over the world, whereas Mistborn is much more tight of a story, and it's also smaller books. So, today, though, we're taking a look at Mistborn the Deckbuilding Game from Brotherwise Games. Now, I've been excited about playing this for a while, even before I read Mistborn, because I knew I liked Sanderson's work from reading Stormlight, and I knew that, obviously, I became more excited about Mistborn when somebody even told me, not that terribly long ago, I guess a while back, hey, you know this is a shared universe, right? And I was like, what? Especially when the last words of Oathbringer have to do with, well, you can look that up yourself. I don't want to spoil anything, even though it's not a big spoiler. But that to me is really cool. Now, as far as deck builder games go, I don't always love this genre. I'm either really hot or really cold on them. But let's take a look at Mistborn the Deck Building Game from Brotherwise, and we'll see how it goes right now. Alright, this is Mistborn the Deckbuilding Game. You're going to start with 3 missions right here. They're randomized. And you will put a cube in the starting space of each. You're then going to have a hand, or a deck, I should say, of 6 funding cards and your character's starting 4 cards. We have Kelsey here. Duh. Fantastic, right? You also have a level 1 ability, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 is different for everybody. Level 2 and 3 are pretty much the same ability on everybody. They have words like, if you're burning. Now, that's the main concept of the game. Let's start with the base deck, and we'll kind of talk how it works. Funding cards are going to do what's kind of fairly obvious for a deck builder. You're going to spend those for the coin in the bottom to buy cards up here in the market. The market cost is in the top right. So for Hyde, it's 4, 4, 5, 6, 4, 6. You have 6 cards in the market. It is a game in which when you buy a card, they instantly replenish. And because it's a deck builder, you can do any of the actions out of any order you want as many times as you want up to the limit of your cards. Now, at the beginning of your turn, you're going to move the training track up. Currently, we can burn 1 metal. So, in order to activate these cards, instead of like a traditional deck builder where it's just, well, I'm playing this, this, and this, you have to be able to pay for it. So, to play this card, Zinc Training, you're going to play the card down here, and you'll choose your metal Zinc. Now, currently, we can burn 1 card. Now, you can technically burn more, but it's called flaring. Because when you normally burn a card, this will just come back to you at the end of the round. If you were to flare, let's say we wanted to play this and copper currently, I would flare the copper by flipping it over. We get the abilities at the bottom, damage, coins, and mission points for this. When it's flared, it comes back face down like that. The regular ones would come back face up. In order to flip that back over, you have to have an action that lets you flip it over, or the other aspect of these cards, instead of burning the metals here, you can burn a card as metal, and it doesn't count towards your metal limit. So you could burn your 1 metal at the beginning of the game, and then I could also play a card, if I have the right metals for it, that allows you to pay for it. So this one, copper here, this card could be paid for with a card that has copper on it. So I don't have one right here, but case in point. I could pay for this card by using this card as payment instead of one of my metals. It helps you get around the ability to not be able to pay as much. Now, what that does is it forces strategy to where you probably need to build your deck towards cards that work well with each other. There's different abilities on them, obviously. This one would be healing. And this one says play off turn, so this is a defensive card. You can also get allies. Allies will go above your character, and they'll work in a couple different ways. They're going to give you powers. It usually says if you are burning, which means if, let's say, I burn steel this turn, which with Kelsier is a good idea because his powers also say if you're burning steel, you would get the ability of this. But then you would have to do also another one to get the bottom ability. Now, what's cool is this Coinshot, which, by the way, is just a great ability and power, you would immediately defeat an opponent's ally. Normally, you can put damage onto an opponent's ally. It's got to be all or none, so you can't do partial damage to allies and defeat them. Or you can just save your attacks and go straight for their character, unless they have a defender keyword. If they have defender, well, then you have to attack that ally first. 3 ways to win: be the first up all 3 tracks, defeat your enemy, bring them down to 0 health. Or if the Lord Ruler comes out, you do the encounter, I believe it's called, card, and what's on there, but spend a certain amount of ATM to do it. You can also get ATM on the track here, and a couple different ways. ATM is wild, both in the token to use for it, doesn't count against your metal limit, and it also, the cards that have ATM attached to them are also wild like that as well. Now, you can't burn anything for ATM, but you can burn ATM for anything else. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of combos, and it really fits the theme of Mistborn, even though it's a deck builder. You'll play until one of those victory conditions is met. For player who wins, wins. That's kind of how the game works. All right, that is Mistborn the Deckbuilding Game. Number 1, let's talk about the art. Now, we talk about art direction, mechanics, gameplay, rulebook, and then we give a final score, right? So, for me, art in this game is a 10 out of 10. It's beautiful. The game looks amazing. Now, the components are a little thin. The cards themselves, right? But it looks amazing. I love all the official art for the Mistborn universe, like the mist cloaks, looking how they look. I think that's just such a really great thing about this game is you get to see these characters that you're imagining in your minds, and you go, oh wow, that's exactly how I pictured him, or that's not at all how I pictured that character. Inquisitors, yeah, I mean, Sanderson paints such a good picture of that in your mind. You're like, that's exactly what I thought that was going to look like, right? Can't wait for the movie series and the show of Stormlight. But art in this game looks fantastic. Everything just looks good. There are a couple things that look a little less than the full amount, and some of that's just kind of like the way certain things are laid out. So it's not really art being a problem. It's just the game looks great. The art is fantastic. Art direction, the symbols make sense. Everything is a very clear symbol. Like you look at the symbol and you can intuitively figure out what they are. The only one that's tricky, that if you don't know and you're just looking at it without having played it, would be the thing that lets you move up on the missions. But once you see that, you know it. It's the card-shaped ones, and you just move up that many points. Defense makes sense. Damage makes sense. The symbols make sense. It all just makes sense. So that's a great amount as well. So 9 out of 10 for the art direction there. Gameplay, gameplay mechanics will just fit together because it's a deck building game. However, one thing I really like about this that a lot of other deck builders don't do and they struggle with is there are very few cards by comparison that let you draw more cards. Now you're going to say, but Bryan, what about this card, this card, this card? Yes, but if you've played a lot of deck builders, like even DC Deck Builder or Dominion and some of those, it's like, I'm going to play this card, draw a card, and draw a card, and draw 3 cards, and then draw 4 cards, and then my turn is 1,500 hours long. And the other person's just sitting there like, oh my lord, am I ever going to get a turn? This one doesn't do that. The turns feel really snappy because of what you're doing. So the gameplay and mechanics there really work well together. Another thing that really shines in this game as a deck builder is the fact that it's really intuitive how to build a deck, right? Because of the notion of, well, this type of card powers the same type of card, you kind of want to steer into a direction of like, well, I want to be really good at that. Now you can go, well, I'm going to be Mistborn and be good at everything, and that's fine because you'll be able to burn more metals by the end of the game. But if you really want to go into a route of, I want to go straight, I want to try to get as many story points as I can, or whatever they're called, mission points as I can, you can do that by building a certain type of deck. And to me, that's really fun that there's those strategy side of things where you can go, even in the book, it talks about a strategy is to eliminate all the cards but 5 in your hand so that you're running the same exact 5 cards every turn. Now that would probably irritate the heck out of somebody else, but I love it. The allies are great, right? Because you do have to make a choice as an attacker of like, is it really worth me attacking them when I'm trying to beat them for life points? But I like that a lot as well. So just fantastic. 9 out of 10 as well for that. Really, really, really great rule book. It's very intuitive. It's very simple. It kind of flows straight through. If you have a question, it's going to be answered in the rule book. If it's not answered, that means you can do it. Like, can you have more than one ally? I'm pretty 99% sure the answer is yes, right? Because it wouldn't make sense to just have one ally. But big fan of that. I'm a big fan of how the comboing works, and I'm a big fan of like, okay, you're limited to what you can do on your turns by the amount of metals you can burn. Now you can burn more, but it's going to cost you. And I like actual stakes in a deck building game instead of the only stake being, wow, did I draw a crappy hand this time or not? I think that's really cool that you can kind of mitigate that by the permanency that you have out there through allies, through, your player card. And to me, that's really, really cool. Plus the ability to get ATM. ATM, I do believe I failed you. No, that's ADIA. It works as a wild card or a wild token, right? To me, that's really cool. Plus, the ADM cards that are in the market deck are really strong. The Lord Ruler variant is pretty cool too. Just the idea of being able to, you can play solo and play against that. It's just a really, really well-rounded deck building game. It's smooth, it's snappy, it's clean. It doesn't take a lot of time to play. There is some strategy involved, but it's not too heavy to where people who are like, man, I love Mistborn, but I don't play board games. You can go, hey, guess what? We're still going to have a good time with this, because it just feels intuitive enough to play it and then also love the world. And the powers make sense. Copper tends to be what copper does in the books. Steel and iron tend to be what those do, pushing, pulling, all that sort of stuff. The only thing you don't get a feel for is kind of the adventure, right? You don't feel like you're flying or shooting coins or any of that kind of stuff, but you do feel like you're in the world as much as a deck builder can be, right? As opposed to some games where it feels like a theme is just slapped onto a deck builder, like, I want to buy kick cards. Well, that's the kind of classic example. This one doesn't do that, right? The ability to use the 10 metals or 8 metals and then burn them and flare them and use cards for them, to me, that's really cool. It really shows careful attention to how can we make a deck builder, as hard as this is, feel like it's themed. So, 9 out of 10, Mistborn the Deckbuilding Game. Such a great game. Looks great. It's a fun deck building game. Just really, really solid. If you're a fan of Mistborn, get it. If you're not a fan of Mistborn and you want to be a fan of Mistborn, check it out. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to check us out at dicetowerstore.com. And until next time, we'll see you.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassel.